What is up, ShadowZone fans? This is your ghost host, the ShadowZone host with the most, Brian James. And welcome to Saturday Night Paratalk. Well, actually, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, boils and ghouls, this is a Saturday night free-for-all podcast, which means that anybody listening tonight, if they want on the podcast, all they have to do is message me and they'll be on. Before we get to our four guests that we do have, the unorthodox mad scientist of the paranormal world, the late night lurker, we have Utah Paranormal and a few other guests. But before we get to that, I just want to say that ShadowZone Paranormal is sponsored by DeesGhost.com. If you're looking for equipment at a great price and you want it built to your specifications, get a hold of Jesse Stewart at DeesGhost.com today. Enter promo code GLOBALEQ and you will get 10% off your first purchase. Also, if you're tired of the Facebook platform being so judgmental about being a paranormal investigator, you try to show your evidence and, oh, mine's better. Oh, that's fake. That's not real. Then go to the place that I call paradise. Go to Parapost Network. This works for Apple. This works for Android. You can get it on your computer. You can get it on your tablet. All you got to do is go to the Google Play Store, look up Parapost Network, look for this little guy right here, and download it today for free. Well, without any further ado, I think we're going to bring up Mr. Jason first. Jason.
How's it going?
Good, brother. Welcome to ShadowZone. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Honestly, I owe you a public apology, sir. We were set to go for a podcast a few Wednesdays ago. And at the last minute, I had to cancel because I had to take my son to the emergency room. But don't you worry, Mr. Jason, because tonight is just a little taste of what you're going to get yourself into when we go one-on-one here in the next couple weeks, buddy.
Heck, man, no apologies. I totally understand, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be on, man.
Absolutely. So tell us about yourself, Jason. What team do you work with? You know, when did you get into the paranormal? All that good stuff.
Actually, in real short, I've been into the paranormal all my life. Got into the creepy stuff when I was real young. Just started reading scary stories, and from there, just wanted to start reading real accounts and stuff like that, and started reading ghost stories and all that stuff. And as far as true accounts, and when I was in grade school, we'd go to church, and me and a buddy would skip Sunday school and investigate the church. I know that's taboo. A lot of people find it taboo, but I mean, it was fun. We heard stories about the church being haunted, and we wanted to see some. Never really did, but so I've been educating myself on the paranormal pretty much my whole life. I've been active in the field for about 8 years. I'm with Heartland Paranormal out of Lincoln, Nebraska. And it's honestly, I'm a free agent. It's just me. I do work with a couple other people. Depending on what I'm doing, I just choose whoever's going to complement what investigation the best. And so I just bring, whoever's going to do the best job at the situation that I'm dealing with. So.
Nice. So do you do like residentials, or are you strictly commercial or cemeteries?
I do residential cases, businesses. We do like going to commercial locations, simply because like they're the best to test out different theories and stuff. The witching hour, stone tape theory, drainage theory, all that stuff. Places that are known to have activity are great to record data and test out different theories. And so we love going to different commercial locations for those.
Well, Josh, Lurker, any questions for the man in the hot seat right now?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Jason, being in the field for such a long time, do you believe that there's non-human spiritual beings as well, like fairies, spiritual guides? Do you believe it goes beyond ghosts and demons, like human spirits and demons?
I suppose the answer would be yes, because I believe the there's so many possibilities out there that yeah, I would have to say the possibility, yeah, I absolutely. I mean, I believe in the cryptids. I'm not really well versed in cryptozoology or whatever, but I mean, I believe that there's Bigfoot, Yeti, Wendigo, all that stuff out there. I believe that stuff. Champy. What is it? Champy and Lake Champlain, Loch Ness, all that stuff. So if those exist, why couldn't in the spiritual form something that's beyond human? Why wouldn't that possibility not be there?
Well, and truth be told, I am half Yeti. I do an amazing job. I'm the hairiest son-bitch you'll ever meet.
Well, I was thinking you looked like you were a little like you were from Middle Earth, though, from hiding a ring.
And, you have any questions? Or sorry, Josh, you
Yeah.
have any questions for
Well,
Jason?
it kind of goes along with what Lurker asked, and I was just going to go on the fact of like, are you more into the spiritual hunting of things, or do you actually go after cryptids? I know a lot of people kind of shy away from one or the other. So
No, like cryptids fascinate me. I'm just not well versed in it. I do like reading about it, but if I'm not one to come to as far as like if you've got a lot of questions about cryptids, don't come to me. There's a lot of other better people that are they're well more educated than I am in the cryptid area. Um, a big part of what I do, my main thing is I want to shift the paradigm of the where the paranormal field is right now. There's a huge fad of everybody wanting to believe that everything is like not everything, excuse me, I don't want to use absolutes, but um, that so much of the stuff is evil, demonic, or malevolent, and I think such a small percentage of that is actually in that demographic. And I think there's less to be feared than there is to be feared, if that makes any sense.
yeah, no, I get you. I
And,
think we follow along the same things.
well,
Absolutely.
yeah, and so like a huge part of
I agree.
what I want to do is like when I do residentials, I'd love people to know that if you have an energy in your home, chances are, you can coexist with that energy and have no problems. You don't need to get a priest or a religious entity over there just to like exercise this energy from your home just because it's there.
That's the one thing
That's
I
true. I
kind of
agree.
get tired of hearing about, is every time somebody has a glass that moves on the table or they hear a bump in the night, it's automatically, hey, I have a demon, or hey, I have a poltergeist, and if you get into the word poltergeist, poltergeist is German for noisy ghost.
Crazy ghost. Yep.
So a noisy ghost is going to do exactly what it portrays to do. It's going to make noises. It's going to move stuff around. It's going to capture your attention. And that's what they really want. They want to be acknowledged.
Right.
They want you to know that they are there by any means necessary and that they want to interact with you. Now, whether that interaction be good or bad, that is the unknown part. And I believe that is where paranormal investigators like us come into play.
Right.
Absolutely. You actually on the poltergeist thing, I'm glad that you said that. If you look at like early writings and research on poltergeist, they're more often described as ornery.
Yes, they are ornery critics.
Yes, and then you get the movie Poltergeist, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but people take Hollywood as fact.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the problem with Hollywood is even if the movie says based on true events, wow, like the amount of true events that it's based on is so minute, you cannot anything that they do, and it's Hollywood, it's fiction, it's entertainment. So don't take any of that crap for concrete nothing.
Exactly.
Just entertainment. That's it.
Huh.
But the movie turned it all around and made poltergeist these bad entities, bad energies.
Yeah, that's a lot of the same thing that we kind of follow along that guideline. And the way that I try to explain it to people is think about it this way. You have good people in the world and you have bad people in the world.
Mhm.
You're going to have the same situation in the afterlife. If somebody we go out to Grafton, Utah quite a bit, right? It's an older town. It's a ghost town. And people go out there. It's free to go out there. It's one of the few places you can actually go into some homes that were built in the early 1800s that they've refurbished and stuff like that, but they've kept the original facades and everything. And we've got voices from one of the homeowners that was there originally, that was the last known survivor of that town. And we've got voices that are like, I don't want you here, and get out. And we've never experienced anything bad, but if you think about people constantly coming into your home, bringing strange equipment, and I mean, because there's all kinds of people that go out there all hours of the night. And if you have these people constantly coming in your home and you can't do anything about it, I would be ornery too. I would tell you, you walk into my house, what am I going to tell you? Get out of here. I don't know you. Go, get. And so you got to think along those same guidelines of, if something's intelligent and something's there, it could very possibly be hostile or angry for unknown reasons.
Now, you said Grafton with a D, Graf?
Yeah, G, Grafton.
Always looking for new things to read about and research. So,
oh yeah, Grafton, Utah. It's down here in southern Utah, and we don't have a lot down here, but we have two major places. And Grafton, Utah was one of them, because they had a couple floods, and they had a couple old Native American attacks on the town. And it's one of the older surviving towns, so you can actually go into the houses that are there. And then the other one is the Mountain Meadow Massacre. And if you want a good read, look up on that one.
Mountain Meadow Massacre.
Yep, and that happened in, you can probably research it by going Cedar City, Utah, or even southern Utah. But that one will give you chills. That one was pretty brutal.
Now, Jason, before I pull you out of the hot seat and put somebody else in there for a few minutes, when you're investigating, what all kind of equipment do you use during your investigation?
Typically we go very minimal. We're very minimalist. We rely a lot on the cameras. Let's see, we typically have about 2 to 3 video cameras. We usually use several still cameras. This is, we carry them around. Recorders. And I mean, we'll set up a REM pod with a camera trained right on a REM pod, just for continuity purposes. But as far as like EMF equipment, we use millimeters mostly for the temperature. The milligogs don't really pay attention to a lot of them, but K2s, we do baselines just to find exactly where any energy sources are in the walls, the electrical power, water, gas, any of that stuff is in the walls. We don't use K2s and stuff as far as communication devices or detection devices. We want to use it as a baseline just so we know where any major EMF pulses are coming out from utility lines. So we're very minimal in what we do. So we do a lot of light manipulation, and that's just in our theoretical testing and stuff. So we use strobes and laser grids a bunch, but we kind of use them in a unconventional manner. So, like using laser grids that like cross each other, and then taking an ungodly amount of shots while we got them on, strobes of different color, just trying to, like I said before, like the light manipulation, see what we can capture, stuff like that. But as far as equipment, that's about it.
That is fantastic. I've actually never heard of the strobe light before. Yeah, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to do that one unless my senior investigator wasn't with me. He's epileptic, unfortunately.
So
Unless I wanted to watch
if
him flop like a fish, then I just turn one on and watch a show for 15 minutes. And direct, much love.
we always post a disclaimer if we ever post a video where we're doing a strobe test. We always post a disclaimer just for that. If somebody does have epilepsy or a seizure disorder, we do not want to like induce that.
Right.
But we have yet to catch anything as far as evidence with the strobes. I have high hopes that there are ways of manipulating the light to capture certain things, but we'll see. I just find it that like if you're on location, if you're so focused in on equipment, you're not going to be in tune with your environment, and you could miss a noise, you can miss something that you normally would see if you weren't focused on some kind of piece of equipment. And so we're not psychics, we're not gifted, we're not none of that. We just like being in tune with the environment and just being aware of everything that's going on in real time, and then checking the voice recorders and all that other stuff later.
And see, that's the one thing I love about a certain piece of equipment that I'm going to pick up from dsghost.com. It's about $130, and it looks like an old chest. And what it does is you set it in a dark room and you set your camera on it with an EVP recorder in there. And when it detects the EMF in the air, it'll start playing a song of your choice. So, like for me, being the big horror movie fan that I am, when EMF is around, it's going to start playing the Nightmare on Elm Street theme.
Oh, that's cool.
All right,
like
Jason, well, I'm going to throw somebody else in on the hot seat here, and you get to play questionnaire for a little bit.
Cool.
Let's see who to throw in. What the heck? Let's throw you in there.
Oh,
What
nice.
up, Doc?
What's
Utah
up, everybody?
Paranormal.
Yes.
My brother.
How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Fabulous. So, first and foremost, man, we talked about a month ago.
Yep.
Had you on my show. We had such a good time that it lasted almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was a pretty good podcast.
So, what's been new since the last time we talked?
Oh man, not much. Unfortunately, I've been working a ton. Usually putting in close to about 97 hours every 2 weeks. So
Shit.
by the end of the day, I've been beat. We have been gearing up and planning a couple things this year. As I mentioned when we first talked, we'll be hitting out in Pioche, Nevada, quite a bit this coming up. I always want to say next year because I'm so used to saying next year we're going to do this next year. This year is the year we're going to be heading back out to Pioche, Nevada, and getting into a lot more places. The Gem Theater, the Overland Hotel, the museum, the $1 Million Courthouse. There's so much there and so much activity. Boot Hill Cemetery's up there, and we'll be focused a lot on that. And we also got an invite in August to go up to, I know I'm going to butcher this, but it's called Pewiti Academy in Provo. And I don't know much about the academy. I do know that there's been a few people that have posted that it's pretty active. And the people have gotten a lot of good stuff out of there. So we're going to join a couple other teams, Spirits R Us, and a couple other people that are going to be heading up there because it's such a large place that they've broken it up into multiple teams. So we'll head up there one weekend just to kind of get out of our little area down here and get up to Provo, because up north there's a ton of places. Asylum Silent 49 is a big one up there. There's a ton up that way. So yeah, we're just gearing up, man. We're hopefully going to be ready for this next year. We've been planning a lot of things and just trying to get all our information. So when we do head out, because everywhere we go from here is anywhere between 45 minutes and 2 hours drive. So Pioche, Nevada is like 2 hours from us.
That's awesome.
So we pretty much have to be prepared to go out there, and there is literally like bare minimal out there. They've got a restaurant that closes at 7, kind of a half grocery store that's like a 5 and dime kind of place that closes at 7, and then there's the bars, which are open till 2 or 3. I don't know, whatever time, 2, I guess.
Nice. Ghosting Paranormal GP says, "Hey Jason, we believe in certain light too. We get divine light on the S box, and in the Wicca it says spirits gain power from the moonlight. So we believe there's a light that can bring light to some answers."
Yeah, that's cool.
Marcus, welcome, my brother.
Hello.
Minnesota?
Long time, man.
Jason, Lurker, Marcus, feel free to ask Josh any questions.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I got a question for Lurker once you ask your question.
Yeah, let me ask Josh a question real quick. Hey, what's the time in your investigations where you had like a funny moment between you and your team? Something that you're like, oh shit, that's
okay,
funny.
so this is probably the best one. So me and Jim, he's one of our lead investigators. We were up in Gunlock Reservoir. They were just camping for the weekend, and I've mentioned this a couple times that we use a ghost tube app a lot, just to try and test it out and see how things go. We're not quite sure if it's 100% accurate or not, but we always use it on locations just to test it and run. And we're sitting there, and I had the app running, and I had my cameras running, and for about 45 minutes, we weren't getting anything, and nothing was coming through. And of course, as we're sitting there by the lake, and I said, okay, well, if nobody's going to talk, if nobody's going to say anything to me, I'm going to turn off the cameras. Well, as soon as I turned off the cameras and everything, of course, stuff started coming through the Ghost Tube app. We were getting full sentences of stuff. And so I'm sitting there, and it was dead silent, and I'm asking questions, who's here? Can you tell me a name? Then all of a sudden there's this god awful barking. We're in the dark. It's probably 10 o'clock at night. We're sitting next to the water, can't see anything around us. And there's this god awful barking. Sounds like demon dogs from hell. Well, Jim set his alarm, and that's his alarm, is the dogs barking, because that's what he'll hear in the morning.
Dang.
So he set his alarm to remind him to take his medication. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden there's these dogs barking, and I'm going, what the hell? Like, dude, I literally sit up, and I'm like, what is going on? And he's like looking at me like, what? And when he realized what happened, dude, he's dying. He's laughing. He won't stop laughing. And for like 45 minutes, he's just dying at me. And it was like my heart's still pounding. If you only knew what was going through my mind at that particular moment, I thought I was dead. I thought some dog was going to come running up out of the bush and maul me to death. And he's over here just like, oh yeah, I got to take my medication.
I got one for you guys. So there was 4 of us. It was me, my buddy James, who's about 480 pounds. There was my brother Rick and my brother DJ. So we're at the Riverside Cemetery, waiting for this guy to show up so we can sign contracts that state we can be in the cemeteries in the dark. Well, we decide we're going to go check out the mausoleum. So we go inside, everything's cool, and we hear this really loud bang. So we're like, what the hell? All right, we're going to be Scooby-Doo, and we're going to go investigate this noise. So we go around the corner, we go down the stairs, and we stop for a few minutes. And we start going back up the stairs, and even louder this time you hear, bang! We're like, okay, that's it, dude. We know we're the only ones in here. What the fuck is going on? So we go shooting down the hallway, down some more stairs. And now there's only a concrete wall about 50 feet in front of us and this little room that has a curtain on it. So we're like, okay, somebody's behind the curtain. So we grab the curtain, we fling it open. And when we fling that curtain open, you hear bang. Now, granted, I am 300 and probably 65 pounds at the time. Rick is about 120. DJ is about 160. And you see my 480-pound brother investigator take off faster than my 120, 160, and 350-pound asses flying straight down the hallway, up the stairs. By the time we get out, our hearts are beating so fucking hard and fast. Like, what made that noise? We walk around the corner, and the sprinkler was on. And it was a hard sprinkler head. You know, the ones that goes tut, 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 tut.
Yeah.
And it was hitting the window.
Oh. Oh my god.
I gotta do one real quick. And I am so against faking evidence, but I was the culprit on this one. And we went to we're near Villisca, Iowa. Just under a 3-hour drive for us. And I had been there countless times for day trips. And a number of years ago, it was my first overnight to go there, and it was just me and another buddy. And it was on my birthday, and I was so excited. And one of the caretakers, I knew her real well. When I got there, she said, "Happy birthday." And sorry about the dings. I have a sister-in-law texting. But they hang a lot of bells on strings in this place. And she hands me a string of bells and says, "This is one of the original string of bells that was ever hung in this place." And she says, "Happy birthday. This is a gift for you." You know, I was like, sweet. Well, I stuck them in my jacket pocket and forgot about them. Middle of the night, we're upstairs, and my buddy thought he heard something. And we were getting ready to head downstairs, and all of a sudden I moved while the bells had jingled in my pocket. And I've never seen anybody so freaked out on a location. But he stopped me and said, "Shh." So exaggerated. And I played this off for probably 30 minutes. I would hold these bells so still, and then as soon as everything got quiet, I'd give him a little jingle. And he was just shitting himself. And then finally he caught me jingling them in my pocket. I thought he was going to punch me in the throat.
Oh, man.
I had him on pins and needles for like almost a half an hour.
That reminds me of what I did to two of my investigators at the East 5th house. So this is the house where I met my second in command, Richard Guthrie. And it's our second or third time there. And me, Guthrie, and Rick are upstairs. David and Guthrie's friend are in the basement. Guthrie goes, "Hey, you guys want to see something really funny?" I was like, "Of course, dude. What are you going to do?" He grabs this wooden baseball bat and he goes, boom, 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 boom on the floor. And you hear David and his friend, "What the fuck was that?" And I look at Guthrie, he looks at me, we look at Rick, and we're waiting. We're waiting for them to come flying upstairs, and they go, "If that was you, can you do it again? Now give us a sign you're here." I look at Guthrie, he looks at me. We both have this sadistic smile on our face. About 3 minutes later, Guthrie does it again. Tap, 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 tap. "Oh, you guys, it's a sign. You guys, we got something down here." Me and Guthrie about piss our pants laughing. Rick is on the floor, not being able to breathe, holding his stomach. Long and short of it, we do this for about 15, 20 minutes before they come running upstairs. "Oh my God, you guys, we came in contact with something down there. It was bang on command." And me and Guthrie, we couldn't hold it together. And what's so funny, guys? No, I gotta go smoke a cigarette, guys. They still do not know that was us. Lurker,
That's funny.
Lurker, you got any funny stories from investigating?
Not yet. I mean, I will say this. Can I? It happened on the show. Can I say that?
Yeah.
What happened a few weeks ago? We were interviewing a paranormal team called, Sundown Paranormal. We were hosting a show for them. We're trying to promote them, get them a shout out, encourage, et cetera, et cetera. So 50 minutes into the show, all of a sudden we had a bunch of technical difficulties. Like Matt from Paranormal Consultant, I work alongside with him on the show. He became invisible on the screen. Like it was like he wasn't even there. And I said, "Matt, hello, you there? Matt, we can't see you." And he was like invisible. He's like, "I'm trying to get my green screen to work. I can't get it to work." Ooh. And then he had like a bunch of technical difficulties, and he was trying to figure out how to. He's like, "What's going on with my thing? I can't figure it out." And then he was like, "No audio." I'm like, "I can't hear you." He's still talking. I'm like, "I can't hear you. I cannot hear you." He's like, "Oh, check it out. I guess it went turn off my microphone and just went to camera." Wow. It was a pretty funny show, man. It was great.
So, Jason, do you have any questions for Josh?
I do. Josh, what is your like main goal as far as being an investigator? Like, what is your mission in the field?
Basically, what we're doing is we try and help people understand what it is that they've come across. Since I've believed in paranormal pretty much my whole life. I lived in a house that was haunted, that had a spirit there. Lady had passed away there, so I always knew something else was there, but no one could ever explain it to me. I grew up in a very religious house where it's heaven and hell. That's it. That you don't live on earth. There's no ghosts. There's no spirits. You're born, and then when you die, this is what happens. And so I always felt like there was more in the world. And we had so many occurrences in that house that there had to be more going on. But back then, we didn't have the technology that we have now. So basically what me and my team, we just try and help people out. We go to a lot of people's homes, and we don't budge in with cameras and stuff like that. And let's set up here. Let's do this. We talk to the family. We try and get a story. What's going on? How is it affecting you? What do you want to do with it? Do you want to learn what's here, what's going on, or do you want to learn to deal with it? Or is there even anything there? We've been to homes where it's a lot more of the family dynamic than what's actually they think is going on. So yeah, basically we just try and help people to kind of come to light with what they're dealing with. I've had a lot of people that have come up to me since then that I've been friends with for years that have said, "Hey man, listen, I need to talk to you because I've got this going on and I don't know what it is," And so we'll sit and talk with them and explain it to them. And, you know, unfortunately, Hollywood has ruined a lot of the stuff for us. And, you know, we've talked with Brian and everything before. This year, there's been so many more, and since COVID, there's been so many more people with more money and time to travel. So they buy a bunch of equipment off of Amazon, and they go out to these places, and everything's demonic and everything's evil, and you know, every little noise is something. And they throw their videos up on YouTube, and they exploit all these people, and they try and just kind of half-ass it in a way.
And the
Well,
problem with that is they are getting more viewers
Right.
than us who are actually out there doing our job
Yeah.
and trying to help people, whether it be commercial, whether it be residential, or whether it be we're just in a cemetery to prove that it's haunted.
Yeah.
These people are getting thousands of subscribers because they play it up. You know, they hear a noise and they jump 10 feet and, oh my God, did you guys hear that? That
Right.
sounded like the devil's tail hitting the ground.
Yeah.
And these
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
people are buying into it.
Yeah.
Like those
And that's
3
a
a.m.
lot. It's the
videos.
scare factor. It's the scare factor of everything. People love to be scared. They love to be on edge. It's the good old oh man, and I just had the name of it and I couldn't think of it. It was the good old movie where they went out into the forest with their little video
Blair
camera.
Witch.
Yeah, the Blair Witch.
Blair
I mean, that was
Witch.
probably one of the better scare movies of all time, and all they had was a couple cameras and went into their local woods and told this fictional story about the Blair Witch. And
You know, that
people
was
were
supposed
buying
to,
into
like,
it.
they got the idea off of the Bell Witch.
Right.
The Bell Witch,
And-
yeah.
Oh, God.
And so you take those factors and then you blow it up because you can get, you know, 10,000 people on YouTube to watch you, and people are going, "Oh my God, this is crazy. This is so real." It's amazing how many times people will come up to you and be like, "What do you think of this on TV?" And I'm like, "Do you want my honest opinion, or do you want me to lie to you?" Because honestly, I think a lot of TV's crap. I
Mhm.
know a lot of people in the TV industry, and I know what gets faked and what doesn't.
Oh,
So-
you know, there's I have absolutely no respect for certain ones, but I have very high respect for other TV personalities.
Mhm.
For events that I've been invited to be a part of. I've met a few, I've been able to work with a few, and there is a select few that have full out come clean out to me, and they said, you know, we're no longer in it for why we got into it.
Mhm.
You know, this is not why we got in the field, but now we've got 3 different shows that we are doing, and we have a persona to uphold.
Right.
And if we don't uphold that persona, the producers are going to drop us.
Right.
And this is our paycheck now. And I'm like, for you to admit to me that that's what it is, I now, my respect level just went
Yeah.
so high for you.
Yeah.
But
And that's
you
why
take,
you don't see
that-
stuff from our stuff. I mean, we have our Facebook page, and you know, we've joined up with a lot of you guys out there to kind of share stuff that we find here and there. But we don't
Well-
post information from people that we go to their houses. We don't post their private stuff. And
see, that's awesome, because like we don't post residential stuff. We treat it like HIPAA.
Mhm.
You know, unless the people, like, I've got a couple residential places that I've done that are historical in our area. And I'm like, this would be great to put out there. Would that be okay? And if they say no, I don't ask again. I don't push the point. If they say yes, what am I allowed to put out there? And what am I not allowed to put out there? I mean, you got to have those boundaries set so you
Yeah.
do not step on toes.
But see, like when my old team, the Spokane Ghost Crew, would do residentials during the consultation, you know, we would ask them, we would say, okay, so with your permission, can we go live on our Facebook page,
Right.
or do you want us not to, and we won't disclose anything?
Yeah.
If they say, oh, well, I'm kind of worried about people, knowing where I live or knowing my name, we simply tell them, well, what we'll do is we'll give your house a name. Like we had one on Post Street here in Spokane, and we called it the Ghost on Post. Or we did, the J&R house.
Right.
And we would just completely change the name, and we would tell them in the beginning, that the names of our clients are to be confidential, so we will not mention their names during this episode, but they have gave us permission to film live.
Yeah.
Some of them will say, well, I don't want any shots of the outside of my house done, blah, blah, blah. And, we're okay. That's completely fine too.
Right.
But when it comes to the consultations, and I'm sure you guys will all agree with me, the consultation is where you sit down with them before the investigation scheduled, and you get to know them. You get to know what's going on in their house,
Right.
And then you have to ask those certain questions, which I absolutely hate, because I always started out with, okay, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. These are questions that I have to ask in my field.
Yeah.
Do you or anybody in your household have any mental illnesses? Do you or anybody in your household take medications for this, and this? Are you on any drugs? And I hate having to ask those questions.
Yeah.
'Cause
It's very tough to ask those questions. I have a friend that wanted us to come and investigate their house, and I told him no, I won't do it, because there's going to be questions I have to ask you that you may not want to answer, or you may lie to me about them, and that's gonna completely derail anything that we have going. And then there's this stuff I just don't need to know. I mean, it's a personal friend, so I told him I would gladly have somebody come and help him out, but I won't do the investigation myself.
Now, this next question I have is for all three of you. Have you guys had any clients that are just looking for their 15 minutes of fame? They tell you all this going on. They say you can film live in their house. They give you a list of what's going on. You go there 2 or 3 times and capture absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we had a guy up in northern Utah that kept calling us, and this is back when I had a co-founder of the team before we split ways. So he was up in northern Utah as well, and this guy kept calling us. He messaged us. He would try and call us on Facebook Messenger. With talking with him, he was saying all kinds of stuff was happening in his house. He had poltergeist activity. His doors were opening. He's got all this evidence and stuff like that, but he wouldn't show any of it. He wouldn't. I was like, well, okay, well, let's see what you have, so I know what we're dealing with. Because this is a long drive for me to get up there. And he would sit there and I need you guys to come out here. I need you to bring all your equipment, your whole team. And it's like, it started to get a little bit weird. And come to find out, he was reaching out to other people as well, just trying to get anybody and everybody to come out there and basically bring cameras so that he could start to charge whoever and hopefully get one of the bigger television shows to come out to his house.
Oh, wow.
And so we ended up having to remove him from a bunch of our social media stuff and just stop taking his calls, because that's not what we're about.
What about you, Jason?
I've never had anything like that where people are just looking for their 15 minutes. but I've had a little more odd, I guess, other requests. A lot of my residential stuff doesn't really go. I would say it's probably like 70-30. A lot of it will stop at the consultation over the phone. I'll listen to people's stories, and I'm not going to tell them whether they're full of shit or not. You know, but I'll listen to their stories, and I'll give them a little bit of advice and give them the option for me to come out. But when you tell them, you know, this is not really demonic, this is pretty benign, you can coexist with what you got, and I can give you pointers. People are pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Now, the one that I can think of that might have been looking for 15 minutes of fame, but I think they were just really very naive in what happens in the field. I think they like to listen to or watch a lot of horror movies and maybe a lot of ghost adventures. I don't know. They called me and thought that they had demonic activity in their house. They were never getting scratched, nothing like that. And one of the things I'm very adamant about, just because you get scratched, just because you have an unexplained bruise, does not mean that it's evil, malevolent, demonic, or any of the sort. Sometimes it can be just something that is really adamant about getting your attention. It does not mean something bad necessarily, so don't jump to conclusions. But they had a room where they were smelling awful smells, and the window kept filling up with flies. And I'm thinking, like, this is really cliche, very, very cliche, right? And so I talked to them a couple times. I finally went out to their house, and it was an old house, and the walls were all plaster and lath. And if you know, I guess I'm not really familiar with your guys' areas, but I figure construction of homes are fairly similar no matter what the demographic or area. But plaster and lath houses always have a little bit more room between the plaster and the outer sheeting of the house. There's usually a little more gap there, and usually a little less insulation. It was an older home, and I went there, and sure enough, there was like tons of live flies, tons of dead flies in the window. And they said, "Well, we'll clean them up, and by the next morning, they're all back." And of course, there was a bad smell. And I asked them, I said, "Do you mind if I pop some of the window framing out?" And they're like, "Well, just as long as you don't ruin nothing." I said, "Everything will be put back right the way it is." And I got some of the window framing popped out. I pulled out a dead squirrel that was just packed full of maggots. And they seemed extremely disappointed that they didn't have a demon.
No demon. Shucks.
No demon, just a dead squirrel full of maggots. And I'm like, this is where your flies are coming from. This is where your smell's coming from. Sorry, Satan is not here. Like, but I think that might be the closest that I've ever come to having somebody wanting to, like, plausibly wanting to get their 15 minutes of fame. But I think they actually thought they had something evil.
Gotcha. Jason Lurker, do you have any more questions for Josh?
I'm thinking of one. I do have a question for you, Josh.
Yes.
What's your to-go equipment? What do the most equipment that you use in your field? Your to-go. You're gotta have it no matter what. Can't live without it.
My go-to equipment, honestly, is, believe it or not, it's my phone. I love to have my phone with me, because I love to try out I love to try the apps and the new technology and just see what I get. That's my number one go-to equipment. That, and then I have an older digital camera That's like one of the first generation
You bring me another monster.
Kodak cameras. Those are probably
Ooh.
my two best things I like to take around with me.
Well, I
Do you
mean,
feel that older cameras catch better than newer cameras? What's your perspective on older cameras versus DSLR cameras?
I think a lot of them do. I think you can take the flash. I mean, you can take the pictures, you can take the multiple shots with them. I don't know if it's just the old school feel about them, or the way that the technology works. I know with the mirrorless glass, or, cameras and stuff like that. I've read a lot of articles on whether or not they do or don't capture things. So I tend to like to have at least my little pocket camera with me.
Having your phone
Is
as
that
well.
you-
I mean, you have a camera,
Right.
you have a camcorder, you have a voice recorder,
Yeah.
plus the apps on the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you got a 4 to 6 in one device.
Yeah. And then I do typically when I leave or when I go on trips or something like that, even though it's bulkier, I usually do take my old Nikon. I have a D3100 that I take with me. A little bit old school DSLR camera, just to have. A lot of times I don't even end up taking it out, but I like to have it with me and just in case.
When you say your pocket camera, is that an old, like real old school, like film camera?
No, it's not. It's just one of the first digital cameras that was made. I have an old Kodak.
Would any of you guys, I guess, as far as investigating, would you ever consider, if you had the means and the ability to develop pictures, would you ever go back to using old school film cameras, just because, to eliminate backscatter, unwanted dust orbs, shit like that? I mean, because like old school film cameras, the biggest problem you would have would be like the double exposure, as
Yeah.
far as like positives on an old school film camera.
I
mean,
would have to
possibility.
say it really just depends on what you want to do with it. If you're just looking for evidence on your own, or if you're looking to share it, because the problem is, I've stopped trying to convince people about the paranormal and more so just try and help them about the paranormal, because I've gotten to the point where it doesn't matter what you show people who don't believe are never going to believe. I mean,
Or they're
you
going to
can show
believe
them a
on their
picture
own
of a
time.
sheet hanging in the air and go, look at this. And they'll go, oh yeah, you just hung it up with some fishing line and took a picture. And it's like,
Oh man,
okay.
that's a common thing.
So, yeah. So, I mean, there's ways that you can even manipulate film if you know what you're doing. So it's hard. I think, like I said, I wouldn't mind doing it if I knew how to actually do the film and make my own exposures and stuff like that, and take the time and had a darkroom. I would love to do that, just because I'm a photo nut. I love to take pictures everywhere I go.
Yeah,
so I would totally go back to that.
My opinion,
It's a possibility.
Go back a little bit further than that, and give me a good old fashioned Polaroid. You take the picture, it spits it out 5 seconds later, and you shake it for 30 seconds because let me tell you what, you don't take evidence of those.
When you said older, I was thinking you were going back to the old single shot lens with the whole gunpowder flash.
No, he's talking about one of those sandwich cameras, that with the big old flat light thing.
Little 110 film.
Yeah.
All right,
old.
Go ahead and pull you out of the hot seat here, and we're gonna bring the lurker into the hot seat.
Well, now I'm in the hot seat now. The seat's feeling a little hot now. Huh?
Oh yeah, Mr. Pikachu man up here. I like it.
Yeah, Matt hates me for it. He gave me the finger and he wants to take my hat.
All right, Jason, Josh, fire away, guys.
You gonna go first there, Jason?
What got you started, and how long you been in the field?
What got me started was years ago. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Ghost Hunter Taps and Ghost Adventures. I like the show, but I was timid to start it because I wasn't really sure if it was something I wanted to do. But then I come across YouTube. You remember back in the day, YouTube was all about like different people on there doing different stuff. It was just like YouTube, whatever. It just sat there. But then in 2014, 2015, I saw like my favorite YouTubers on there doing, paranormal stuff. Cool.
Mhm.
I like doing that kind of thing, and I was get so hooked on it because I would see like they would catch like some crazy evidence, like from partial apparitions to like full body apparitions to like mists, orbs, you name it, all kinds of things, intelligent EVPs, shadows, you name it. But then I was like still timid. I didn't want to do it. I want to do it, but I just didn't have the money or the resources to do it until 3 years later, which I started my YouTube channel, which was known as Alamo City Night Owl at the time because I live in San Antonio, Texas. You know, Alamo City, which is the name of the city, Night Owl because I'm up late night of the hours. So that's why I was named Alamo City Night Owl at the time. But then I changed it up to Late Night Lurker because I dropped a best friend from like 12 years and I didn't want nothing to do with it. So I had to start fresh. So I started it 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago now. So I'm still new to paranormal investigating. I'm kind of a greenhorn still, but I'm definitely learning a lot more from you guys as well as Matt and everybody, especially you, Brian.
All right, Lurker, I got a question for you. What makes you the so-called unorthodox mad scientist of our paranormal field?
I can definitely answer that question for you. The reason why they call me unorthodox and unconventional because I don't use your traditional tactic, devices. Like your REM pods, your ghost spirit box, your laser grids, your motion sensors, whatever you call it. But that's what I see as traditional in my eyes. I'm an unconventional guy, so I just use devices and stuff that's not normally meant to be used in a paranormal investigation setting. The reason why I do this because I want to see how spirits will react to these certain devices or products, and if it will give me the best result, I can write it off. If it didn't, I can dismiss it and try something else. That's what makes
Can,
me the unconventional ghost hunter that I am.
can you give us an example of,
Okay,
of a situation?
okay, I'll give you one. That light meter that photographers use to measure amount of light to take pictures for models or take pictures of cars or motorcycles?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I use that in a paranormal investigation setting because, it deals with, light anomalies. I figured a light meter, I wanted to test it out to see, if a light anomaly would set off a meter, or under these conditions, like, the timing, the location, or if I can catch any kind of light anomalies, with that light meter, because it measures the amount of light going in and out. So when I tested it, yeah, it gave me some results, but it was kind of like 50-50. I can't determine it's 100%, you know, true, but in the same token, it was giving me some strange readings. So that's an example of unconventional, unorthodox. Is those
Wow.
type of devices are not meant to be used in a paranormal setting. It's meant to be used in photography.
Yeah. No, man,
Mhm.
I really like that. I really like that you're thinking outside the box
Yeah.
and trying things that are, I think a lot of people do go for their K2 meters and their EMF detectors and their REM pods. And it's like in 90% of every ghost hunter's kit, those types of things. So I like
Absolutely.
to see that you're thinking those different different ways and stuff like that. I know there was when we went out to an investigation, I took with me a LED light strip that you can change the colors on. Because I was just thinking, man, what if what if we're thinking about this all wrong? And what if we did like a pink light and all of a sudden you could completely see something that you never saw before? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, I love that you're doing that, man. I like that a lot.
And, I've had the privilege of watching a couple of the lurkers videos, and I want to talk about the episode. I can't remember what you used, but you put it in the water to determine spirits in or around the water.
Oh, the Miracle Spring water.
Miracle
That
Spring.
one.
Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you know Peter Popoff, right? The infamous scammer passing off as Miracle Spring water. You get like lots of money and like you're able to get healed immediately from your ailments and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a review on that, you know, showing what I got from him and stuff. But then after I got done with that video, I was thinking in my mind like, what's really going on with that water? Like what even is that? So I got curious. So I want to name a few devices that are. This one isn't not your typical device. It's a Black& Decker thermal leak detector. What a thermal leak detector is, it's used for people that are in the construction field. They go out and see if there's like drafts or like any kind of like hot spots, cold spots, or like leakage around their, the building that they're in or the home that they're working on. It's not normally meant for paranormal investigation, but I used it for this set video. So I wanted to see what's going on with that water, and sure enough, it was doing something to the leak detector. Like I said, I can't say it's 100% sure, but it was doing something weird with it. But I didn't get very much from that result from that device, but there was definitely something going on with that water. And till the end of that video, it was something. It was sounded. I wasn't sure if it was demonic, but it did sound like demonic. So I labeled it as that because it sounded like pissed off. So I marked it as that. So that was another um, video that I did of that Miracle Spring water. Well, I'm also a combination artist and an unorthodox invest. I do unorthodox investigations too. I do like investigation of sound frequencies like Angel 1111, Hertz. Yeah, that too.
Now, there's a theory going around that the good spirits, if you will, can hear the higher frequencies, and the bad spirits can only hear the lower frequencies. And I wanted to get all three of your opinions on that to see what your thoughts actually are.
That is very true. That is very true on that one. Because when I did the, Angel 111 Hertz sound, uh it gave me nothing. I didn't feel any negative energy, nothing but positive energy that filled that room when I was filming. And strangely enough, there was some voices coming from there. Not a lot, but I got a few. Very interesting. Yeah. And as far as a lower frequency, yeah, that is a possibility too.
Jason, what are your thoughts?
I don't get into a lot of that. I mean, I know about like infrasound and stuff like that, but as far as that goes, I really don't. I really wouldn't have an opinion on that because I have not studied up on that enough.
Okay. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I do think there's some definite truth to it. We haven't messed a lot with frequencies and stuff like that, and I definitely will take it into some of the next investigations I go to and try it out and see if we get positive reactions or negative reactions based on that. it could also, I'm wondering if it can also set forth a certain mood, as to why you get that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
It would definitely
Exactly.
make sense. I mean, think of infrasound though. Like being so low, below 20 hertz, where your ear's not registering it, where your brain is. I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely something I'm gonna be trying out. I think it's
I'm
worth a
definitely
shot.
going to
It's
be researching it.
everything that you got to go into every situation and every bit of equipment that you use. You have to think about it like in a research scenario. What did
Mm-hmm.
you use? What did you ask? And what were you doing while you were using it? And what results did you get? And then from there, you make your best conclusion you can. I mean, it's the thing. And do you
Mm-hmm.
get the same reaction from different places? Do you get different reactions? That's why I said I honestly there's so many page. I actually left I was on so many Facebook pages at one point, paranormal this and hunting this and haunted that, and every time somebody ever asked a question about cell phones, everybody blasted it. Nope, it's fake, it's crap, it's manipulated. But you got to
Well,
think about, so many people walk around with their little K2 meters, and as soon as they get a spike, they go, "Oh my God, it's a ghost right here. There's spirit right here." And it's like, well, okay, first of all, you're walking around with an electronic meter. It's bound to spike up and down.
It's
Now
gonna
that
do
you've
that.
gotten a spike, move back and forth, set yourself a grid, and figure out, is it somewhere that you're moving? Is it something that's going on? Now, if you can set that thing on a bed with no electronics around, and it stays a green light consistently, and you say, "Hey, you see that light over there? Can you make it go, brighter?" And then it starts to move when it hasn't moved in 40 minutes. That's when you can start to go, "Okay, there's some stuff going on right there."
let's
Right.
let's
Well,
discuss this
and
for a second, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing. Ghost tube, for example, we'll use here. Like an Obelisk 3.
Mm-hmm.
It is preloaded with words.
Right.
The spirits can allegedly search through the database of these words and use certain words to hint to you what's going on, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, but if you're using a cell phone, can't that database listen to conversations
Sure. Yeah.
and possibly download its own database and, throw up words that it's recorded you using for that investigation?
Sure. I mean, technology is ever changing, right? And we already know that cell phones have the ability to listen and even display ads based on what you're talking about. I mean, I've got actual fact of that. But when you're using equipment, so like GhostTube app does have a preloaded library,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the ability to add words into it if you want. So I think in situations like that, there's a little bit more, I don't want to call it fact, but there's a little bit more believability to whether or not it's working. But there again, it's the same thing, is what do you get
Yeah.
out of the app? I mean, there's been times where I've turned it on when I'm home alone and just let it play. And then occasionally you might get a word or something like that. And so those are the times where you go, okay, is this really just a crap app? Does it not work at all? And then you go out to certain locations and you do get things. There's certain things that we've gotten from locations out at, say, Mountain Meadows that we haven't gotten out at Grafton. And weird things that I don't know if they would be able to put those into a database as fast as the information that's known. So like at Grafton, we'll say, we get a lot of times, yeah. So, okay, let me clarify this, because this is a good question that came up. So he says phones don't have service, just use Wi-Fi, turn off the Wi-Fi and use them. So the phone that I use for these investigations is not my actual working cell phone. I have a phone that's just running the app. All the other stuff's turned off of it. All the other stuff's blocked. So when I'm using a phone, it's a dead service phone.
Okay.
So to start with that's one thing. I don't use my own phone that's got working service and knows where I'm at all the time. I'm using a phone that's got no Wi-Fi connection, no data connection. It's got no working capability. So when we use that type of situation and we use that type of equipment, I'll say go back to Grafton. When we go out to Grafton, we get things like water and flood. And there was a flood there. When we go out to Mountain Meadows, we get things like stabbed and shot. So, I mean, like I said, you take everything for what it is as far as research.
Exactly.
Was there any actual stuff that you got out of it that you wanted to get out of it? Or is
Well,
it just nonsense?
It just
Think
varies.
Thinking about it that way, Josh, I mean, if you're using a dead phone with no service and, you know, you're blocking everything to where it can't record your conversations and so on and so forth, and you're actually capturing, you know, things that are relevant to your investigation, then I would say that that app would be deemed, at least in my eyes, a viable tool.
Right.
Unlike the Ovilus, where it just kind of, you know, just spits out random words at random times.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for the late night lurker?
I actually have one more for you there, Lurker. So, has there ever been a time in a situation where you've been out either with somebody or by yourself that you didn't feel comfortable about being there?
Actually, most of the times I'm by myself. One place in particular is the trailheads where I'm at in San Antonio. There's been stabbings and murders in the trails. Yeah, that particular one. It was very unsettling. I didn't want to go, but I was like, fuck it. I need something to shoot. I need a video. So I just went out there and shot over there. And, you know, at first I didn't think I got anything. You know, I wasn't expecting much. I wasn't expecting to get anything. But when I got out from the trailheads and started, you know, editing, because, you know, editing takes like hours on hours. You know, you're sitting in your computer all the way till the crack of dawn trying to re-listen to what you think you heard, or you're like, wait a minute, what is that sound? I got to go back
Yeah.
and
Oh my
like,
God.
what the
Yeah.
fuck's going on with this? And you're
Something
like,
like going back 15 times in a row on the EVP recorder.
and you're like, why did I miss that from many hours ago? What the hell happened? And I'm catching like all these kinds of stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's creepy, you know?
Jason, any more questions for the late night lurker?
Not that I can think of right now.
All right, lurker. I guess you're out of the hot seat, and it goes to me. Fire away, boys.
Oh, let's
Hey.
see.
I will be right back, guys.
Okay.
All right, Jason.
I would have
Commercial break.
to ask, what is your go-to equipment? What do you like to take with you when you go out?
You know, like you, I like to take my cell phone. I like to record live on Facebook because I feel that it's more eyes, more ears that are open in the investigation, to where if I miss something or I'm busy with something else and somebody else hears something, I can go back and listen to it in real time on the phone. But I'd have to say it's a combination of that and probably the SB11 or the SB7 spirit box. You know, there's nothing like, you know, going through radio stations and all of a sudden you hear the words "get out." Really brightens you. Yeah, you know you're doing your job right if you're getting told through a spirit box to get out. Actually, with theseGhosts.com, they have a hacked spirit box that has 20 channels for $90, and then you can buy a Funhouse 2.0 portal, which is, I believe, 150, and it's a rechargeable speaker. It's kind of like a guitar amp in a way. You can change the reverb on it. You can do Tater, will you let her in? You can do echo, and you can actually clean it up to where you hear the voices come out a lot more clear.
Ooh. I'll have to check that out.
There's a lot of equipment at These Ghosts I'm going to be picking up at income tax time.
Yeah.
I'm looking at spending probably close to $1,200 worth of equipment. Because unfortunately,
money bags.
I had done an investigation and thought one of the boys grabbed the bag out of the back.
Oh no.
And I'm looking around for the bag the next morning to go over the evidence. And I asked Rick, I said, "Did you grab the bag out of the back last night?" He said no. John said no. Sarah said no. Carol said no. So I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, so the bag's in the back of the car. And of course, I opened the hatch of my Subaru, and unfortunately, my bag was gone.
Oh man.
Oh no.
So I lost my EVP recorder, my 3K2 meters, my spirit box, my speaker, my temp gun, one of my two EVP recorders. And I worked hard on that, man. I mean, my team had virtually no income coming in, and we spent a good year building that up.
Yeah.
Equipment is not cheap, you know, and it sucks when, God dang. I've got a buddy who builds all his own stuff, and it is fascinating to see like what he does and how it works and watch him work it. But I just got to stop and say something real quick. It's so cool listening to you guys and how you guys roll, and the differences and the similarities. Like Josh, your way of thinking and my way of thinking, I think, is really very parallel. In the way we do things. All three of you are very what if guys, you know, like what can be done new and fresh and, you know, groundbreaking type stuff. And I love that. And I've just been noticing this the more that I'm listening to you guys talk and how you guys roll. And you all three have your own individual ways of doing stuff. And I sorry, had to have a mushy moment. But you know, it's like on my page, like on my Facebook page, I post periodically, but like I have tons of people that post their videos, their lives, all that crap. I may not agree with the way that everybody does stuff. I may not be a person who uses a lot of equipment or whatever, but just because I don't do it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, you know, somebody's doing something, gets a hell of a breakthrough, you know? Yeah. Right. And I think I don't say like a lot of para-unity. You don't say para-unity, you show para-unity. And so you watch some video and then you're going, holy shit, look at what they got. Yeah. You know? And so that's what's cool. And I'm like Josh, I don't put out my evidence a lot. You know, I think when I'm on location at a commercial place, I will I'll do a live just because then there's fresh eyes watching what I'm doing, and they may catch something that I normally wouldn't catch.
Right.
But I just had to have that mushy moment, just say like it's awesome listening to how you guys roll and how your minds are like always like the what if, the what could be done new and fresh and groundbreaking. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, personally, I'm very old school when it comes to investigating. Yeah, I mean, I like going live on Facebook just for the simple fact that, you know, if there's something I miss, somebody that's watching can catch it. But I also like doing live for the fans.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and I
but
have friends too. I have friends that would love to see the investigation portion, but they're too terrified to go to an actual location. So going live when you can is a good way for them to experience it without them actually having to step foot, into something they don't want to do. Because you don't want
Very
that.
Right.
You don't want that with you as well. You don't want that possible negative, and you don't want them freaking out and running down a hall scared in an old building.
you,
So
that's very true. And you know, I found a way around that though, Josh, is that I run a program called Investigator for a Day, and COVID has like really slowed it down. But we've got enough locations within about an hour to an hour and a half drive from Lincoln that I started it with the intention of doing it with people with disabilities or low income who want to go to these places and don't get a chance normally to do so. And I thought, well, screw it, I'm opening it up for anybody that wants to do it. And it's actually worked out really well with people who are normally terrified to go to a place, you know. And they're all commercial locations, but you take people, and since one of my main missions is to lessen the fear in the field, it's awesome to take people to these places. And when they get there, they forget about the ghosts. They
yeah.
just appreciate the historical building and the stories behind the building and even the stories behind the hauntings. Because if they see a little bit of activity, they don't really get freaked out. They're going, that was weird,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah,
Or they just really appreciate the historical value in everything that's there.
let's see, there's a couple of historical buildings here in Spokane that my old team, the Spokane Ghost Crew, have done. A lot of Spokane has a lot of paranormal history. I mean, the Great Fire of 1898 or 92, one of the two, it wiped out the entire town, and then they bulldozed everything, which they claim nobody died in that fire. I call bullshit. But they bulldozed it all into the river and made 6 more blocks of the town on top of that. We have apartment complexes that are set on Indian burial grounds. We have Suicide Bridge, where at least 150 to 200 people have jumped to their deaths. But all these places here in this town, they don't want to be known for their paranormal. And I've told them, I said, look, you guys, I can host an event here, once or twice a month. We can bring in 1 to 300 people. We can charge $125 a head. We can feed them dinner. We can get them non-alcoholic drinks. I'll take him on a 6.5, 7 hour ghost hunt. You guys take, 70% of it, give me 30, and we can rock with this. But 98% of them say no.
Yeah.
The one place we did get the chance to do was the old Masonic Temple in Hilliard, which was built in 1931, but for some reason isn't on the historical site yet. You know, we set up this big event. It was going to be the night before Halloween, and I worked my ass off. I found vendors. I did advertisement. You know, we were supposed to get 30% of the door, 30% of the raffle, and 30% of the vendor fees. Well, we show up to this party or this event, and you know, there's supposed to be no alcohol there, none of that. And we show up, and there's a DJ there. There's all these strobe lights, which automatically eliminated one of my best investigators. And what we were supposed to do is at midnight, the 10 winners of the raffle were going to get to go on an investigation of the whole building with us. And so, you know, I'm not much for crowds. I hate big crowds. So I sat in this back room with the rest of my team where the vendors were. And, you know, 10:30 comes rolling around, and the lady comes down and says, well, I don't know if we can do the ghost hunt, you know, I mean, because everybody's kind of tipsy. I was like, well, I thought there was no alcohol in this party. Oh, at the last minute, I changed it and put BYOB.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Fuck. So I was like, you know what? I can take 10 drunk people on an investigation. It won't be a big problem. We'll just let them do. I'll point stuff out. And she's like, okay. So midnight rolls around. Music is still going. 12:30 rolls around. Music is still going. 1 o'clock in the morning. The music is still going. Well, the door guy happened to be one of my best friends. I was his first concussion in the wrestling ring. And I walk up to him and I'm like, dude, what's going on, dude? The party's supposed to be over and we're supposed to be investigating an hour ago. Dude, she's fucking hammered. Everybody's hammered. I can't shut the party down. It's like, oh, good Lord. All right, go get her and let me talk to her. I was like, call a spade, dude. I just want to get paid for my work and go home. So she comes down and, oh, well, I called you and told you that we weren't going to do the investigation, and I didn't charge the vendors anything, and the raffle hardly went on after the doorman told me the raffle was popping. I was like, so, you know, I just want to get paid for my part of this party and I'll be out of your hair. Oh, well, I'll deal with you in the morning. So I come out of this party and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, fuck this, fuck that. And I go home. I called the doorman the next day and I said, you know, so, hey, what's going on, dude? Oh, I don't know, man. She's not happy. I was like, look, she's either going to be the woman that she says she is. She's going to give me my 30% of my part of the deal, and we'll set up another event, or she's going to be the woman that I hope she's not, and she's going to screw me over and not talk to me again. Well, to this day, I have not heard jack shit from her.
And you never got your 30%?
Nope. And I guarantee you there was over 250 people in that spot.
Crazy. You know, there's events. I'm not big on events at all, especially if it's investigating events, public ghost hunts, shit like that. I've done them. If I'm invited, I'll go. But I will not do one if there is alcohol. I'm a non-drinker. I just celebrated 18 years sobriety back in November. And so my thing with events is they're great for camaraderie. They're great for meeting new people and building the network. But I've done one event and I'd like to start it up and make it an annual thing. But Brian, I think you might appreciate this the most. It was the only event that I've ever hosted, coordinated by as Heartland. I did one for autism awareness because my day job, I work for an agency that works with adults with developmental and physical disabilities.
Dude, that's awesome.
And yeah, well, it's a great job. I work with wonderful people, man. I've been there for 14 years and I love it. And I thought, well, a lot of my clients love the paranormal stuff. I've been able to take them to a lot of different locations and stuff. They just love it. They go nuts. And I thought, well, I'm gonna do this event because I got in touch with Autism Family Network here in Lincoln, and I said, let's partner up, let's do something. And they were all for it. And we said we gotta set a goal for what we're raising money for. And Lincoln Police Department and Autism Family Network right at that time was starting a program for wanderers, for autism children who would wander out of the house in the middle of the night. And they were getting these wristbands made. So if an autistic child were to wander out of the house and the police were able to, get the child, they'd know right where to return them to. It was a big safety measure because 49% of autistic children are wanderers. And I said, well, dude, that's what we're going to raise money for. And
my nephew,
I rounded up a whole shit ton of metaphysical people from around the area. I got a bunch of other teams to come. We went to the parking lot of my day job and just set up this huge thing. And it was a 3-hour event. And I told each vendor, I said, whatever money you make, I said, you choose a certain percentage of what you make to donate to the cause. We did a raffle. We did a bunch of fun stuff. And what was awesome was in those, if I don't remember right, it was about a 3-hour event. We got almost $4,000 raised in that 3 hours.
That's cool.
Wow.
What was really awesome was she called me. We gathered up all the money, got it all counted up. We had sold hot dogs and sodas or whatever. It was the only thing that we didn't need a permit to sell, food. Got all the money, turned it in on that Monday. I think it was by that next Thursday, she called me. I had to pull over the car, man. I had tears in my eyes so bad I had to pull the car over because I answered while I was driving. She said, well, she goes, your money has already been put to good use. There was a family that's on assistance and stuff, is a single father. They had immigrated here and got their citizenship. They had 2 small children, and one of them was autistic. Well, the mom had passed away shortly after they got their citizenship. And so it was just the dad working 2 jobs, taking care of these kids. And the son was a wanderer. So when the dad would come home, he'd have to take the recliner, put it in the entryway to block the door so the kid wouldn't get out. And so the very first bracelet that they were able to give somebody with the money we raised was to this family. So this guy could actually get a decent night's sleep and not have to sleep in the recliner up against the front door.
Oh, that's cool.
Those are the events I freaking love being a part of, and I want to start doing that again. and make it like an annual thing. But like I said, like I go to events. I've been special guest investigator, this, that, whatever. But I don't like them because, like, if you're doing a ghost hunt and you got 15, 20, 30 people there, there's too many false positives.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're getting from upstairs or over here, over there. But they're great for camaraderie and building the network.
Here's the thing with events, Jason. And by the way, I'm gonna talk to my boys and Josh, Lurker. If you guys are in for this, it would kick ass. My nephew twice wandered out of my sister's house and was found 8-9 miles away. And we had alarms on these doors. He knew how to turn them off. We had special locks on these doors. He knew how to unlock them. Ultimately, my sister's 2 autistic kids got taken away from CPS because one was a wanderer and she was so scared that the other one was going to do it. She stayed up almost 2 weeks straight and had a mental breakdown. If those kids would have had those bracelets, they would have never been taken. So, Jason, you know, I have an autistic son who's nonverbal. You know, how is he going to tell a cop where he lives?
Right.
How is the cop going to find out where my son lives? He's not going to.
Yeah.
So I am 100% in. Let's all get together, you know, a date, and let's throw the biggest event. I am 100% all about that.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
definitely down for that.
Man.
As far as investigative events go, the new team that I co-founded a couple months ago, Global United, you see, I'm the marketing and advertisement manager, and my partner Eldon, who's from AZPIA, he's the business manager. And then my buddy Jason Graham from Southwest Para Abnormal is the guy, the sales rep. So what we're doing right now to create revenue is we're getting in to these places in Arizona because they're based out of Arizona and I'm going down there in September. But we're finding these big places. You know, one place can hold 60, the other 2 are ghost towns, so they can hold between, you know, 200 and 400. But what you have to do in a building that can hold, you know, 60 people is you have to take, you know, a group of 10 maybe at a time, you know, and do a 4-hour investigation to where, you know, you guys are so spread out that you don't have to worry about cross-contamination.
Yeah.
And then you set up another time for later on that night to bring the other 30 in, and you do the same thing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the ghost towns and stuff that you can hold 200 to 400 people in, you know, you take as many people as you can take. You split them into 3 groups, and then, you know, you do the same thing. You do 4-hour ghost hunt, and then you bring in the other crew. But what we're trying to do is for the 60-person building, we're gonna charge like $65 a head, and that's a steak dinner with salad and a baked potato and an ear of corn, all non-alcoholic beverages. And then instead of, the more historical tours, we're going to spend 30 minutes on getting to know your equipment and then pretty much just letting them loose with an experienced investigator with them.
Yeah.
And then for the bigger events, we're going to charge $125, and we're going to build the revenue that way. So that way, we can put half back into the company, and then half will go to me, Jason, and Eldon, and whoever else is helping us run them. So that way, we can afford to go to different places around the U.S. and start filming for our show.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool. I think it's a great idea.
But honestly, I'd love to come to San Antonio and find a couple buildings and have you, Lurker, run the show down there, and same with you, Josh, and the same with you, Jason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that way, we can find a couple buildings a couple times a month. We can build revenue for our teams. We can put a little cash in the team's pockets, to help us get to new destinations, help us get that new equipment we want to get, and ultimately, help fund whatever fundraisers you guys would want to fund.
Yeah. No, I think it's a cool idea, and I like the fundraisers. I like the group events, and I like the idea of hitting different areas. I'm more than willing to travel and help out wherever I need to.
Exactly. And
going to different locations.
It's a good way to meet other teams. It's a good way to meet, new up and coming investigators, because you're gonna eventually run into those guys that have no experience in the field, but man, you're gonna sit back and look at them and go, God damn, man, I need this dude on my team.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's where you find that, it's where you find that passion too. And they need it. I think a lot of them need it. A lot of them, I don't necessarily think that everybody that's going out and doing what they're doing is bad. I think it kind of clouds the filter a little bit, clouds the tank a little bit in what everybody's looking for. But there are people out there that are trying to do what they can. They just don't know what to do or who to do it with or what they're even looking for.
The one thing that I used to do when I was running my podcast in the beginning is people that I would feel a connection to.
Yeah.
People that I could see the fire, the desire, the passion, the unorthodox. Most of them would be on YouTube and Instagram. And like Lurker here, what I would do is on the show, I would straight ask him, do you have a Facebook group page? Do you have a fan page? This is the advantages of a group page, and what I'm offering is I will build you your own group page. I will spread it out to all of our fan base. I will get you fans. And if need be, I will design custom logos for your team at absolutely no cost. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We lost Jason.
Yeah, he created my Facebook group page from months ago, since me and him interacted when he first interviewed me. Once I met Brian James from there, it was game over. And then I met Matt Barron, the paranormal consultant, game over too from there, and made a lot of great friends and with a lot of people in that group. It was an amazing thing. It
Like
was game
Lurk,
over.
I made his group page, and I'm still an admin on that page, which somebody doesn't visit very often, Mr. Lurker.
Been busy.
But I met Forget Me Not Paranormal Melissa. Yeah, I made her a Facebook group page and designed her custom logo. And she just sent me a YouTube video last night of her son opening up a box, and he's pulling out a sticker. And I look at that sticker, and I'll be damned if she didn't make merchandise out of my design.
That's cool.
And she gave me this big thank you. And you know, it makes me feel so good inside to know that, you know, I can help the littler paranormal teams come up in the paranormal world just by an hour or two's worth of work. But there was one person that captivated me, that just blew me away. She had so much desire that it reminded me of myself when I first started in the field. And her name is Kennedy. I created her page, which was Harder Times Paranormal. And now she's with a couple of her friends, and they're going under Spooky Trio Paranormal.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
And,
I remember that.
Man, that girl has the hopes and dreams and ambition that just I don't know, man, knocked me out of the ballpark. She wants to do everything there is to do. She's a haunted tour guide at an asylum, you know, and it's just, she's a fantastic person.
That's cool.
You know, and Global next year is going to be going on this big road trip from Phoenix to Minnesota, or not Minnesota, to Pennsylvania, and from Pennsylvania through West Virginia and Virginia down to North Carolina, Mr. MJC Paranormal.
Mason?
And shooting up to Tennessee and Kentucky, where we're going to meet up with Bad to the Bone and meet up with Travelers. And then we're heading through, I think, Iowa, Nebraska, and just kind of up the road, which will eventually end up running into Utah, Mr. Josh. So Asylum 49 are a few places you have. And Jason, where are you from?
Nebraska.
We'll be going through Nebraska too, so you're going to be a stop on our list as well.
Rock on.
And then we're going to hit the old Montana State Prison. We're going to hit the entry. We're going to hit Wallace, Idaho for the Jameson Inn and Bordello. Up here to Washington for the St. Ignatius Hospital. And from there down to, or up to Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, down all the way the California coastline. And then if we have enough fundage for it, I want to go from California and take all the southern states, which San Antonio, Texas, and I want to go all the way back up to North Carolina and then back up to Illinois to drop off Kennedy, because he wants to go on this along with MJC, and then back to Arizona. It's looking to be probably somewhere between 1.5 to 2 months trip. And, you know, if you guys are down to go, you know, we can all meet up in Pennsylvania. You know, we can all meet up in your respective states.
I got family in Pennsylvania. I'm more than happy to go out there.
The Pennsylvania, we're going out there for 3 reasons. And that's I believe Eastern State Eastern State Hospital, Pennhurst, Gettysburg, and Matt Barron. We are actually
the consultant
there and party with the paranormal consultant for a night. The problem is with this road trip, though, we're gonna have to have at least 6 to 8 people with us that do nothing but go over evidence. Because we're talking about hitting probably close to, let's see, probably close to about 100 places coast to coast. And
that's cool.
We definitely need an analyst or few.
Yeah, definitely, especially with that many places.
Most
That's a lot
definitely.
of places. But guys, I'm gonna get ready for work. It was nice to drop in and meet everybody. Jason, it was nice to meet you, and Josh, it was a pleasure meeting you
Yeah,
too.
man, you too. I'm glad.
And Brian, it was good to hear from you again. I know it's been a while.
Hey, lurk on, brother.
I will.
Wonderful
Thank
meeting
you,
you
guys.
as well. I'm going to check out your YouTube channel, man.
Go right ahead.
Now, Lurker, do me a favor.
What's up?
Get the hell off my podcast.
Whatever you say. All right, I'm gone.
Later, brother. Much love. Love that guy.
Yeah, no, I've seen him in a bunch of the podcasts and stuff with Matt and you, and so it was good to finally talk with them and stuff. So
most definitely.
Hey, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to jump out of this myself because I worked today and I've been up since 6 a.m.
Well, all right. Before you go, Josh and Jason, I'd like to talk to you guys after the show is done, just for a few seconds. Promise I won't keep you very long. I'm just a talker, you know. But yeah, I'll go ahead and show you guys in the back, and we'll go ahead and end the show, and I'll meet you guys in a few moments.
Sounds good.
Sound good with you, Jason? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Your sound's a little bit.
Oh,
strange.
hang on a second. All right, can everybody hear?
There we go. There we go.
I can hear you better.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and end the show, unless Jason, you want to continue on?
I've got to get going here too myself, but
well, all right, then I will throw you guys in the back here real quick. We'll have a quick chat, and then I'll let you guys go.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Hey, I appreciate you guys too. Thank you for saving my ass tonight. All right, I'll catch you guys in the back.
Okay, man.
All right.
All right, guys, that does it for the Saturday night edition of the Free for All podcast. Overall, I think we nailed it pretty good. And remember, folks, if you're looking for good equipment at a decent price, go see Jesse Stewart at dsghost.com. And also, go give Mr. Laverty a check out at Parapost Network. Like I said, you can download it for free from the Google Play Store. It runs on Apple, it runs on Android, laptops, and computers. And if you don't want the app, that's fine. All you got to do is go to www.parapost.net, and you don't have to have the app. But for your ghost host with the most, Brian James, I will catch you guys next Wednesday. We have a hell of a lineup for Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So make sure to tune in. We are always here at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So have a hauntingly good night and a ghoulishly good day. Peace out and much love, folks.